Hello, all, and welcome to another episode of So You're Living in a Simulation. I am your hostess, Jolie, aka your one black friend. So, this episode is going to be about desire, will, drive, free will, and the illusion thereof, and then everything in between desire, outcome. Are we actually free? No. Does it matter? I don't know. But let's find out, shall we? Let's have this discussion. Let's talk it through. Let's think it through, and then see what ideas percolate as you listen. Let's start the show. This episode came about, I should say, the culmination that led me to record this episode came about from a conversation that I was having with my cousin about an intense desire for something that I've wanted for the last, let's say, for the past month that has been eluding me. And it was in the back and forth of trying to shake off the desire for the thing because it seemed or it appeared that I wasn't going to get the thing that I wanted. And rather than resisting it, I said to myself, it is what it is. It was in that release of it is what it is that I realized, wait, Joe, you always get what you want. And I think the same applies to you. I think if you sit and examine your life, for better or worse, for the most part, are there some things that you don't want in your life? Absolutely. But those tend to be smaller than you actually realize. But for the most part, if you pause and reflect back on your life and your life experiences, they stemmed from the desire for the thing that you presently have or have experienced. I always get what I want. Now, is that a statement? Is that a grandiose statement? Is that to say that I'm all powerful and I'm just the kind of person that I get it. I want it. I get it. No, that sentence actually falls flat when you sit with the idea, the concept of determinism. Why did I want the thing in the first place? That's the question that very few people actually sit with. Because we don't actually control our desires. We don't actually control our wants. I sat and thought about this thing that has been eluding my grasp for the past, like I said, month or so. And I asked myself, why can't I stop wanting it? And I asked myself, why did I want it to begin with? And it all stems back to all of these preconceived notions of that I had no control over. Everything, all of my life experiences, it brought me to this point of desire for something. I can't even control my desire for the thing. I just know that I wanted the thing. And that is where the illusion of control and will starts to break down because I can't stop myself from wanting the thing. Whenever I try to resist it, it amplifies my desire for the thing. So I've learned to just sit with it and let the desires just come and go and let them ebb and flow and watch them come in droves. It's like fasting. I've been fasting for the past, well, I've always intermittent fasted. You guys know this, but I've been full on fasting, trying to reduce my calories for the past couple of weeks intentionally. And I found that the mental clarity that comes from caloric restriction in the form of fasting is honestly something that should be studied if it's not been studied already. I can see why monks do this. I can see why it's a religious practice. I can see why people pull away and go into a cave and they sit without putting food into their body and they allow their mind and the body to consume itself. I watched a short clip from a documentary featuring Michio Kaku, the physicist, one of my favorite authors, and he was saying how when you go without eating, if you want to live longer, first he says, if you want to live longer, eat 30% less. If you want to live 30% longer, 30% more, eat 30% less. It's very interesting. I also finished reading or rereading Anti-Fragile by Nicholas Taleb, and he more or less pushes for the same thing. He says the Mediterranean diet is actually responsible for longevity, not because of necessarily what they're eating, but how they go about eating. And I believe he said in his book, Anti-Fragile, that for 200 days out of the year, the people who I guess the Mediterranean diet is based on, I forget, it's a specific sect. I think they're Orthodox Greeks or something like that, but there's a specific sect. But whomever that's based on, they actually will go 200 days of proper fasting, like sun up to sundown or whatever. And what he said in his book is that you allow your body to eat itself in the sense of instead of consuming other things, you allow the body to consume itself. And what it ends up doing is it consumes the garbage, the trash that is piled up in the system and burns that off for energy. It's always interesting. Vegans are sort of pushing for us to not consume animals, but then it's sort of the practice sort of denies the sentience of plant-based life forms because plant-based life forms are also alive. Just because they don't look like us or sound like us or talk like us or move like us does not make their lives less valuable. And I'm saying all of that not to sort of promote like a new form of, I don't even know, aestheticism, but to say that to live is to consume. That's just a matter of life. Sometimes I sit and I'm eating like a steak or something like that, and I always pause and say like, how did I get here? What sort of fall am I experiencing as an entity that I must consume the carcass of another animal's flesh? But then another thought passes, and I say, well, how am I any different? Right? It's just the consumption of energy. You go like a maggot and it consumes flesh. A vulture, it consumes flesh. A wolf consumes flesh. A lion consumes flesh. Fishes consume other fishes, and it is a part of the system. It's a recycling of the system. I am not consuming the soul, I'm consuming the body of the thing. Are there more ethical sources of flesh consumption? Yes, you could say that eggs are. You could say that milk is. You could say that even like mollusks and shellfish, because they are, quote, less sentient by whatever measure, obviously fruit as well. Could you eat something like that? Yes, you could eat a diet in that way where you're consuming flesh of entities that maybe have a different vibration or a different level of awareness than us. But you still see how there's a hierarchy being imposed there, right? We all feed on death. The next step is reducing your calories and allowing the body to consume itself, to generate its own energy from itself. That is an option. I am not promoting fasting, and I'm not telling you to fast. This is not financial advice. This is not health advice. I am not a doctor. I am telling you that there's been a certain level of mental clarity that has come from the reduction of calories. I have, and I primarily eat mostly plant-based, and I primarily eat fruits and vegetables and grain. Obviously not gluten or anything like that, rice. But I do still need the flesh of animals. I still need, and trust me, it is a need. I've sort of done the whole eat for your blood type diet or whatever, and been anemic and tried to substitute with other things, but it ended up just coming down to the simplest form to get the energy that this body needs, giving my blood type and my body type is that I do need animal-based proteins. I make no apologies for it because I didn't create the system. I didn't create this world where everything feeds on everything else. So I do not feel any sense of guilt. It is what it is. Don't hate the players. If you must hate anything, hate the game. We are subscribers within a game. As I said in a couple episodes ago, you have no idea what this world is. You just woke up and found yourself in it, have no idea what it is. But we all feed on death. But maybe when you fast, you're feeding on the death of things that could potentially harm your body. But I digress. What does this have to do with desire and outcome? My desire for something is not within my control. Have you ever wanted something so badly but couldn't have it, and then you couldn't shake that desire? That within itself should tell you that we're not in control. So what I said to my cousin as I was trying to sort of talk my way through it in the last couple of like weeks, even just going like, it is what it is. And eventually this will pass. My desire for this thing will go. What I said, because it's a matter of letting go, right? It's a matter of letting go, not trying to control anything and making things sort of a meditation, if you will, becoming more of an observer in your life as opposed to actively grasping and trying to control everything. This past few months, honestly, has been an exercise. Whatever intelligence that drives our reality has really been pushing me to surrender. Surrender. Stop resisting. Stop resisting. Anyway, here's the conversation that it's text, so I will be looking down. Basically, what I said to my cousin. I said, desire and outcome are one. It's like a magnet. You want something. That's one end of the polarity. And that want, you don't control, by the way. Boom, it's want. You wake up like it's like people who are addicted, right? I want a cigarette, right? They go, no, but I'm going to stop smoking. And then they wake up and they're just like, I have to have this. You see, we're not really in control. If they were in control, they wouldn't move in that way. They'd be able to say, I'm going to stop smoking. And then that would be it. People who are trying to lose weight, you see, addicted to a person, you see how things are? We're driven by our compulsions for the most part. We think we're in control, but then you wake up with them in the morning and boom, something pops in your head and you're actively going on it. So I said, desire and outcome are one. It's like a magnet. You want something. That's the one end of the polarity, right? That's one magnet. And then the experience of it is the other polarity. And then desire, outcome, pull in together. Remember how many times have I said over and over again that all of time is happening right now, right? And that there are a myriad of infinite realities, multiple reality experiences, but because of nature, nurture, and things outside of your control, more than likely you will have the same reality experience over and over again should you loop the same life. I've mentioned Gurdjieff. I've mentioned Uspensky. They say that some people loop the same life over and over and over again until eventually they start exercising a limited form of will, and then they can shift out of one highly probable reality experience to another by doing something different. It's a continuous exercise of staying conscious and not getting lulled back into the game and not getting lulled back asleep. Because when you get lulled back asleep, you fall back into the same patterns of behavior that will basically keep you in one reality. If I say right now, go to a restaurant and stand on the table and start singing, that feeling you get is almost a boundary. Think of it as a border that keeps you from a different reality experience, because more than likely you will not stand on that table and sing. And you will continue down the path of not being the kind of person that will stand on the table and sing. However, should you stand on that table and sing, that unlocks a different reality experience, a different path. It's like but that feeling, that resistance that you get of just the idea of doing something like that is the boundary between those reality experiences, between different universes, to be perfectly honest, that your consciousness can experience. And so more than likely you'll stay here. It takes a very strong will, which takes effort and energy to strengthen and develop. And if you're already operating from a space where you think you do have free will, you'll never go out of your way to begin with to exert that will because you think I'm free. The easiest way to enslave somebody is you don't let them realize that they're slaves to begin with. So you have to do something that you wouldn't normally do, and that will shift you. Like that dissonance, when you break through it, shifts you into a different reality experiences. But all reality experiences exist simultaneously. And even in a new reality experience that is unlocked by you standing on the table, for example, there will be things. You will still have desires for things, and that desire is one polarity that is attached to the other polarity, which is the outcome. And they will connect. It's only a matter of time. But because time is an illusion and everything is happening right now, you already have that experience. The noise in between, and I wrote about this in So You're Living in a Simulation. The noise in between is just that, fucking noise. All of the outcomes and all of the experiences between your desire and outcome already has happened. You don't control the desire for something, so you're not really in control. You could say, oh my gosh, I'm not getting what I want. You don't control the desire. What do you want? That want came to you. You didn't come to it. It was imposed on you. So by the law, you will have the experience of the thing because you couldn't even control having the desire for it. You are not in control. Now, what I wrote is free will is an illusion. It is important to recognize that because when you are interacting with other people and their will, or what you perceive of as their will, and it seems like you want something from them, and then they're not giving it to you, and you're like, oh, I cannot override their will. I need you to stop and realize that what is their will? They have no will because they don't realize that will, that whatever it is that they're moving, however it seems to contradict what you want. They're not in control of that. What I'm actually saying is a little bit dangerous for people who actually understand what I'm saying here, but we see this shit all the time. You have strong personalities that are able to direct the will of the masses or the perceived will of the masses and get them to have reality experiences that they don't want simply because this person has decided, I want this. But then go to this one person that has decided that they want this and then ask yourself, well, where did their desire for whatever it is that they want before they set out to move the entire masses? I'm talking about dictators and fucking demagogues and all of that. Where did their desire even come from in the first place? And you go back and you have to sit and go, it's something that is imposed within entities that are within this construct. Even the desires are imposed. Even a demagogue, even a dictator moving the masses, when the drive that he has or she has, is usually man, that they have, was imposed on them still. It is written. All of time is happening right now, which means that they were fated to move the masses in that way. So it might seem like it's their will. And in a way, it is their will, except their will is not theirs. It is programmed into the reality experience that was always going to happen. Free will is an illusion. If you want more on this, there's a couple of books you can read. Free Will by Sam Harris. And then there's another book, I think it's on Great Courses. You can find it on Audible, and it's on determinism. And I would recommend you check it out. I will put the title here. So what I wrote was something, I'm guessing energetic parasites, it's getting weird, wants to milk the suffering that can occur between desire and outcome. What do I mean by that? Remember I said that something is feeding on something? We're always feeding on something. We're all consuming. To exist in this reality is to consume something for energy. And we somehow have figured out that we are the apex predators in our reality. We think that because we feed on other things, nothing is feeding on us. If you think that or believe that or accept that you are a conscious entity having a corporeal experience, you understand that there are things that will feed on your consciousness as well. This entire reality is set up as a farm of sorts, because if you watch the way our minds are programmed, it's a psychological farm from birth. We are sort of imprinted, we have imprinted on us this idea of what reality is supposed to be and how we're supposed to react. We're not actually told the truth of what is. We are made to believe something else. And so the construct in itself is an illusion. The matrix in itself is an illusion. So you wake up and you think you're in control when you're not. And you say, I want something. And then when you don't get it immediately when you want it, you go, oh my gosh, I'm not going to get this thing. And then you panic, and then you have fear, and then you have all this sort of negative emotional reactions because it's not going the way that you wanted it to go. Where did the one come from? Where did the desire come from? You never pause and ask it. You just woke up with the desire and you're like, I want this thing, and no, it's not happening, and I must fight to get it. You're going to get the thing. Between desire and outcome is the bullshit in between. And that's when we are programmed in that space between desire and outcome. That is where we are programmed to be afraid, to panic, to be afraid, to get depressed, to want, to claw, to hope. And something attaches to the misery of, I can't get that grasping. I can't get what I want. I'm not going to be able to get what I want. You will always get what you want, because your want was never in your control to begin with. And I think that there's got to be something that benefits from that. Oh my gosh, that panic, that fear, that negative energy that gets released when you don't think you're going to get what you want. There's got to be something in there that feeds on the suffering. Loop that back and sit with it. But what I wrote was the suffering is unnecessary. It stems from the fear that you won't get what you want. Sit with that. Be patient. They always say patience is a skill of the gods. There's an expression that says that man makes plans and God laughs. And my rebuttal to that is the gods make plan, or I should say the gods make plans and the fates laugh. The gods make plans and the fates laugh, because the gods were powerful, but the fates, Moira, were even more powerful than the gods, because even the lives and the deaths of gods, titans, demigods, and mortals were pre-written. The fates, this is Greek mythology, and actually Eastern mythology, and actually, sort of Viking mythology as well. They controlled the spool and they would cut the threads. They controlled it. They were more powerful than the gods. It was fate. Fate. In my book, So You're Living in Summation, there is a chapter where I talk about that, right? An all-knowing, all-powerful God is not all-powerful, because if to know everything that's going to happen, right? To know everything that's going to happen, you would be powerless to change it. You cannot be all-knowing and all-powerful at the same time. If you're wondering what I mean, go get the book, because I break it down and I explain it. But to backtrack, I have the will, is what I wrote, because I have the outcome, someone. I have the will for something because I have the outcome, someone. So in my new book, 7 Habits of the Master Procrastinator, it's actually, it's coming out soon. I talked about one long day. I talked about the fact that our days, the concept of days, time, is actually predicated around when the sun rises, when the sun sets, when the moon comes out. The movements of lights in the sky. If you take that away, then our concept of days and nights and time and months changes. one long day. So to reiterate, if that understanding was instilled on us from a very young age, then we would know that even the way we keep time is a construct and thus an illusion. You remove that, you put yourself in a cave. You don't know how many days have gone by because the concept of days are predicated on, well, the sun is up, now the sun is down, now the moon is up, now one long day. Remove all of that, remove clocks, remove the sun, clocks being a construct, again, of humanity based on the sun, right, which comes from sundials, right? The Egyptians, they monitored the movement of the sun. It was something that repetitive, and that's how we came up with, quote, a watch time. Take away that. And what is a day or 2 days or a month? But we get stuck in, oh my God, it's been 3 days. I've not heard back in 3 days. I've not heard back in a week. It's not. And so we get sucked into that illusion. It's just illusion upon illusion upon illusion upon illusion. It's, do you want the thing? Do the work. That's it. Do you want the thing? Do the work. That's it. That's it. I cannot force something. I am not in control there. And then the arbitrary markers of what I consider a year. I've been trying really hard for this thing to work for a year. What the fuck is a year? 360 days the sun came up, except it doesn't come up. What is a year? It's just we're measuring lights. How many times has the light shown up in the sky? That's a year. It's been a year, bruh. Do the work. In time, whether you're in a cave and you're sitting and you're doing the work, or you're outside and you're monitoring the sun and you're doing the work, in time, the outcome happens. Now, will you be alive to experience the outcome? That's a different conversation, but you don't really control that. And I would argue there are reality experiences where you will be alive to experience the outcome. It's just, what are you willing to do to shift yourself out of a different reality that makes that experience less likely to happen? The experience of it, you being alive when you experience the outcome, or when you have the outcome, right? And I'm talking to like artists, for example, right? If you're trying to do something, you would like to see the fruits of your labor come to fruition in your lifetime. That's a better measure of time. I want this in my lifetime, not in a year, not in, I want to fucking see the fruits of my labor in my lifetime. And I think that's a better monitor of time. When I'm young, when I can appreciate it, I think that's a better monitor of time than something that has nothing to do with us, the movements of the fucking sun in the sky. None of us are in control here. You can resist that thought, but none of us are in control here. That is an empowering thought for somebody who is a control freak, to sit back and go, I can't even control my desire for this thing. Why am I an artist? As soon as I could pick up a pencil, that's what I did. I didn't choose that. I was a kid. That's what I did. I picked up a pencil. That's what I did. Who knows how many lifetime I've always drawn, and different avatars. That's what I've always done. And then I picked up a paintbrush. I was in a class. I was put up in a class. I just was put into because I needed an extra credit. And now it's become this obsessive compulsion that I do not control, but it's my desire. I have to paint. I'm surrounded by art. You guys can see there's a piece right there I'm working on. I have to paint. I can't not paint it. If I don't paint, I feel like shit. Where is that feeling coming from? It's not in my control. Free will is an illusion. Suffering is unnecessary. You fear you won't get your want. This is my cousin sort of reiterating what I wrote back to me. You fear you won't get what you want. What is the use of the fear? You're supposed to go to a wedding. Well, you're not supposed to. There was a wedding. My partner's daughter was getting married, and he had a suit that he had taken to the dry cleaners, and they had returned the suit without the pants. And he had a bit of a panic attack. And I think it's because, well, his daughter is getting married and he wanted everything going well. And now I don't have the suit. And it was like this, then the other. And all I said was, look, honey, where did you get the suit from? Well, I got it from X, Y, and Z. Okay, well, then go back to X, Y, and Z. Make an appointment and go. When we get to where where the wedding is happening, they will have a store there. They will have your size. Just get another pair of pants. The panic in between, I need a new pair of pants and I have a new pair of pants, is unnecessary. You are elevating your blood pressure, stressing me out, to be perfectly honest. Relax. Here's the problem, or here's the desire. I want a new pair of pants. Okay, here's the outcome. I've got a new pair of pants. And here's a wild thing. He went to the store, right? We had to fly from Scottsdale to San Diego. He went to the store, walked into the store, and the exact suit in his exact size, down to like literally was the last one, was there waiting for him, which meant that nothing that he did prior to it, none of the emotional reactivity was necessary at all whatsoever. But something was in his mind generating that fear and anxiety, and I would say feeding on it. These ideas sound wild when I talk about there might be something energetically that we cannot perceive feeding on us. I don't know why it sounds wild. Do you understand that chickens in a farm don't understand that there are human beings outside of a farm that feed on them? Do you understand that there's fishes in the sea that don't understand our whole civilization on Earth that will feed on them? I don't know why we are so arrogant and so egotistical to not understand that everything is dual in this reality. Whatever is, if you can feed on something, something can feed on you energetically. I mean, even when you die, your corpse gets consumed. Even while you're alive, your body can consume itself. Even while you're alive, bacteria can consume you. You've seen infection. So why do we think that something imperceptible to our six senses due to the limitations of our nervous system can't consume us? Or could not have created this reality or set it up in a way where it's a farm and we generate these like sort of negative reactions? For what purpose? Why? You want the thing, you'll get the thing. When it happens, doesn't matter. You will get the thing. Why the stress? And here's the thing, too. Let's finish this. Your desires are not your will. You have the will because you will have the outcome. Resistance is futile. What you resist persists. No one is in control. So that's the synopsis of what my cousin said back to me after we had this discussion. But here's the thing. Something is consuming us. I think it's more of a parasite than anything else. Right? I think you have the system, and the system goes desire, outcome, only matter of time. This happens to me over and over again, by the way. I have a desire for something, I need something. It is never the first fucking thing. I was looking for a new dermatologist, right? Just moved. And I called, I just need a dermatologist that can fill a particular prescription for like a face cream or whatever, right? Called the first doctor, was put on hold for like 5 minutes. Called the second doctor, put on hold for 5 minutes. I'm just getting machines. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, I want to get frustrated because that's the reality that we live in. If things aren't going the way you want it to go, you're supposed to get frustrated. But I realize that with my life, it is never the first thing. It's never the second thing. I don't know why. But it just never. And it was like finally, like the sixth person I called, the sixth practice I called after speaking to machines and being put on hold and getting text messages back and being told to call back or send a message and this, that. After all of that, the sixth or seventh person I called, I don't even know at this point. It's probably like the 10th person I finally called. And not only did I get somebody to answer, I was like, I just need to speak to a human being. The first human being I spoke to was a freaking idiot. And I just was like, okay, thank you. Like they didn't know their job. The second human being I talked to, kind of the same thing. The third person I spoke with was the actual doctor and was like, yes, I can get you in today at 4:30 to do a virtual call. I got the thing. I was going to get the thing. I was always going to get the thing. It was always going to be the 11th call. It was above and beyond. I talked to the doctor, not some person scheduling, and boom. But imagine I'd allow myself to get pissed off as I was approaching the 11th instead of understanding like this is just how the construct is. I think that whatever it is parasitic. I think that the system goes, there's not a reality of instant gratification. We're not living in some sort of lucid dream where you want something, you think about it and it comes out. That's not this reality. Are there realities out there where you want something, you get it? Absolutely. Is that this reality? No, or I should say not yet. You just go through it. The emotional reactivity, we are programmed to have that negative emotional reactivity over and over and over and over and over and over again. You watch the media, you watch the news, you watch people you care about, they're all reacting the exact same way. It is unnecessary. It's like throwing a tantrum. You're going to get the thing anyway. Stop. Think about the thing you really desperately want and understand that rather than holding on to the idealized version of once I get this thing, it's going to be amazing. Understand that it's still a fucking reality where things will not go 100% the way you want it to behave. So that thing that you're like, oh my gosh, I want it so much. Oh my God, I want it, I want it, I want it, I want it, I want it. Like a job or for example, right? I want this job. I need this job. Oh my gosh, I gotta find this job. You're going to get the job. And in a few months, you're going to hate the fucking job. Maybe you won't hate it. Okay. Maybe that's a bit strong, but your coworkers will start getting on your nerves, right? Like all of it's not like you're seeking heaven. The desire that you want, the thing that you're chasing so hard, I want it so badly. It's not heaven. You're still going to have to experience it in this reality and everything that comes with experiences in this reality, which is the built-in sort of like annoyances and the imperfections. So you've idealized this thing in your head that you really, really want. But do you understand that once you get the thing, right? So for example, I was looking for the perfect flat. I think I mentioned this to you guys in London, and I finally did get the flat. And it was everything that I wanted. I got what I wanted. Why did I want that? Why did I need it to be to check this box and this box and that? But that was what I wanted. That was not in my control, but I got what I wanted. And then the stove wasn't working. Then the washing machine wasn't working. And then the water, we had issues. And then there was this. Do you see how, okay, you got the thing. That's cool. Here come the issues. And then eventually you're going to get to a place where you're like, ugh, like the last flat that I had in London. I was like, oh my gosh, this is perfect. And it doesn't, the imperfections don't take away from the experience. It shouldn't. Don't let it. Focus. And if you can sit and you can focus on the beauty of the thing and be gracious and understand that for you to have anything in this reality, it's going to come with flaws. It is not a perfect reality. I think we're in here. It is the imperfections are programmed in. It's just part of what it is. So do everything in your power to focus on the good of it. Focus on the good of it. Intentionally bring in your mind and make yourself focus on the good of it. And I promise you'll find, even if you sit and you write things out, you'll find that 96% of whatever the thing is pretty fucking amazing. It's just our mind tends to focus on the 4% that's bullshit and then amplifies that. But my previous flat, like I was like, oh my gosh, it's perfect. It's got water view, this, that, and the other, like boats everywhere. It's just so fucking romantic. The apartment damn near flooded 3 times, no hot water. The boiler kept fucking like, I don't even know, like breaking down. You had to take a shower like this whenever it decided. And then you had like the immersion heater as a backup heater. The landlady like refused to fucking fix the boiler. Like she just was like, oh, I can't. The building won't allow me to replace it, which is a lie, like absolutely a lie. So she just kept sending people in to just try to fix it as opposed to replacing it until finally even the plumbers were like, we're not going to fix this shit anymore. You need to replace it. And I moved out, so I don't even know to this day if it's gotten replaced. But when I was so like, oh my gosh, like this thing, I wanted to this thing and this is perfect. It's not perfect. You didn't think about all the bullshit that comes with the thing that you want. Remind yourself of the bullshit that comes with the thing that you want, because there's going to be fucking bullshit. We're so hyper focused on, oh my gosh, like all these beautiful things that we forget that there's all this stuff too. And if you can hang on to that, if you can hang on to that, not the blind desire for the thing, but the understanding, hold on to the understanding and put yourself in the space. Neville Goddard talked about this, right? Is that you ignore what's happening right in front of you right now, because that's noise. It's bullshit. It's meant for you to generate that energy. So whatever that negative energy of fear, I won't get what I want. And remember that when you do get what you want, sit in that space, because the feeling, so what he says was hold on to the feeling of what you want. This is Neville Goddard saying that, but the feeling of what you want typically tends to be annoyance. Unfortunately, it should be gratitude, and we should work on that. But remember and remind yourself that once you do get this thing, it's only amplified right now because you don't have it, right? That's what we want to want. We just want to want. But once you have the thing, right, your mind then starts to fixate on like the negative and work on that, by the way. That is something that should be an exercise of practice of once you have the thing, actually sitting and appreciating it. That is very important, but that's a separate exercise, a separate practice. But instead of chasing, like, oh my gosh, I want this thing so badly, hold in your mind that you already have it and you kind of hate it a little bit. I'll say that again. Instead of chasing this thing, oh my gosh, I want it. And if I have it, it'd just be perfect. Hold in mind that you already have the thing and it kind of annoys you a little bit. Like it's already aggravating the fuck out of you. Like there's already flaws. If you can hold on to that space, I promise you, the thing that you want will come back to you faster than if you're in this chasing, because that's kind of built into this construct. Is that the more you want something, the more it kind of pushes away. So if you can, one, stay neutral or do what Goddard says and sit with the feeling that you already have the thing. And then I'm adding to that and saying the feeling that you already have the thing is probably a little bit of annoyance and resentment. And oh my fucking God, this really actually is kind of, ugh, not what I thought would be. That's the world we're living in, the disappointment. If you could sit with the disappointment now, of course, the beauty as well, but understand that it's the idealization of the thing that's keeping the thing away from you. You'll get the thing, but you'll be a bit disappointed by it. And it's okay because you cannot have anything in this reality without the disappointment. The key is once you get the thing, because you already have the thing, is you start training your mind to appreciate and not to be disappointed, not to focus on the negative. And that's how you can create, it's an exertion of actual will. Because 99.9% of people in this reality, once they get the thing that they desire, will then become complacent. Start taking that shit for granted. Start complaining. All right. Kind of be like, oh, this shit's actually annoying. Ugh. This time they hyper focus on the negative. Be the individual, the 0.1% or the 1% that sits and goes, you know what? Yes, my boiler wasn't working, but this is still a beautiful flat. I am blessed. I don't know what I did to earn or deserve this life where I get to have this experience of, well, eating here or living here or being with this person or whatever it is. I am grateful and not constantly chasing something better, but being able to go, I actually appreciate this, even with the flaws. Because the flaws actually is kind of built in. It's what makes life worth living in a way. It's a kind of beauty. Kitsugi, if you will. It's a Japanese practice of taking the mended pots and mending it with gold so that there's beauty in the imperfection. I mentioned this in my book, Seven Habits of Master Procrastinators, coming out soon. If not, it's out now, depending on when you're watching this. Finding the beauty even in imperfection. So when you're busy chasing this job that you want, put your mind in the reality experience that exists right now in the future, because there is no future. All of time is happening right now. That's not me. That's Einstein. Theory of relativity. It's happening right now. You've got the job and you kind of hate it a little bit, but like that annoyance of, oh, this motherfucker's getting on my nerves. Hold on to that. And you'll find that intense desire for the thing kind of fades away. And you're like, oh, okay, no, that's coming. That's fine. And you'll find that it's more likely to come to you, quote, sooner. Because I think this reality it kind of rewards those who are realistic. You know what I mean? Or at the very least, who are conscious enough to understand the rules of the game. I'll leave you with this. No fear. There's no need, right? Amor fati, to love one's fate. Think of Sisyphus. His worst lives, life experiences. Pushing fucking rock up the hill only for it to roll back down again, you know? But eventually he learned to love it. I bet Sisyphus is swole as shit, right? He's destined to do that for all eternity, or so that's what the gods said, right? But the fates might have other plans. What if the fates decided, okay, he's done enough, and now he's super ripped, super buff, and he can go off to another reality and find a goddess who's really into fit men? I don't know where it goes. Anyway, yeah, as a synopsis, to go back, to round everything up before I leave you, free will is an illusion. The person that you want really badly, you have a huge crush on. And right now they're resisting your advances. Even their act of resisting, they're not in control here. My cousin, we were watching, I posted this on my threads. I was like, since when was Prince of Egypt not a Disney movie? Apparently it's DreamWorks. I've been singing like songs from from the soundtrack. I love the soundtrack. The movie, kind of crazy. Because if you think about it, right? Okay, so Moses and his brother grew up together, and because like his brother's family saved his life and raised him, which Moses was really ungrateful about, by the way. Yeah, I get that his father, like his brother's father, his stepbrother, whatever you want to call it, the Pharaoh who ended up being Pharaoh. I get that his father kind of killed, a bunch of people. It's terrible. It's terrible. But then once his brother became like the Pharaoh, an interesting thing about it was that the God of the Bible hardened the Pharaoh's heart, which means that the Pharaoh had a soft heart. Right? So we wouldn't have even had the story where like the Pharaoh's son ended up being killed at the end if the God of the Bible didn't harden the Pharaoh's heart in order to flex. Like he could turn, water into blood and rain frogs and do boils. Like he just wanted to show that. But like none of that would have been even necessary because like Moses and, the Pharaoh loved each other. And the Pharaoh loved Moses until like the God of the Israelites like hardened his actual heart, which meant that even Pharaoh, like what it seemed like was Pharaoh's will, which was not letting the Israelites go, was not actually his will. Some external force imposed its desire over upon in this game, in this story, so that it could flex his powers. And that shit happens more often than you realize. Like there's some people that you're like, oh my gosh, I really want this to work out with this person. This person's just moving some type of way. And you are like focusing on their behavior, not realizing that people literally don't have free will. Like they don't, you don't know why they're resisting. You don't know what like experiences that they've had that's beyond their control, like life experiences to make them who they are now. And it seems personal, but it's not. They literally aren't in control. Most people are not in control of themselves, of what they want, when they want it. you're better off going and, okay, I want this thing. It will happen. And when it does happen, I probably won't really like the person like that. I mean, you'll like them, but like they'll get on your fucking nerves. Do you know what I mean? Because that's built in or whatever. That's just the reality of it. Stop like idealizing the person. They're not perfect. Stop focusing on that. Understand that this person you really want is going to come with a bunch of stuff. And that's okay. Embrace that. And then let it go. It could actually be the very like thing that could be hardening their heart towards your desire is the energy of you intensely wanting the thing, because it's like one of them Chinese finger traps. That's how this reality wants. Like the more you want something really bad, the more it like you're pushing it away. It's like a repulsive energy. Let it go. And it will happen because you want it for better or worse. That's the thing that you want. So you will get it and everything that comes with it. I'm going to reiterate. I think it was Harvard scientists, or no, it was at CERN. They've now found some ghost, literally ghost in a machine from a different dimension. I posted the article on it 2 episodes ago, and here it is now. Look into it. It's like a fourth dimensional being. No, I'm sorry, it wasn't. I don't remember. Anyway, it was an entity from another dimension that's not our own. And if they're able to capture this, whatever it is, right? They've called it an entity, for lack of a better word. If they're able to capture this thing, imagine things that like we can't even conceptualize, and sit back and pull yourself back. I'll say it again. You just woke up in this reality. You have no idea what this world is. You just woke up in this reality. You have no idea what this world is. We're not free. But if it makes you feel better, if you have a desire for something and the outcome is there, all this shit in between that kind of makes it seem like you're not getting what you want is just noise. If you want it and the other person wants it, right? Or if you want the thing and then there's the experience, right? It will happen. Ignore the noise, the bullshit in the middle. Thanks for watching.